Thank you, Father. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
For those of you that I don't know, my name is Dan Delany. My wife, Linny, and I have been parishioners here at St. Norbert for nearly 20 years. We have 4 children, 3 of them sitting back there. One's out at a camp or something like that. All our kids went to St. Norbert School and then subsequently went to Loyola Academy. Our youngest will be a junior there this year, and our other 3 will be in college. So it'll be a little bit of a lean year in the Delany household. As I reflected on Father's request to talk about faith and fatherhood, I realized I could probably talk for hours on the subject. Fatherhood is sort of a miracle upon miracle happening all the time, and as many of you know, it's sort of an all-encompassing activity. So I thought I'd not talk for an hour, thankfully, I think. I'll keep it quick. And I wanted to talk about one topic. And, you know, fatherhood has broadly or profoundly changed my faith over time. So I thought I'd try to focus on prayer. And as I reflect on fatherhood, there's been a few phases for us as parents over the years. The first phase were the early years. And just a little background on our family, Linny and I had 4 children in 5 years, and there were no twins in there. So I like to say from 2003 to 2008, we were sort of in the baby business. And while the kids were little, it was new and great and exciting, but that first phase of parenthood for us was filled also with worry and chaos, a little bit of chaos, sometimes a lot. We had 3 kids in diapers at any given time, and we were both working. In that period, we moved from the city up here to Northbrook. We just had a lot going on. And when they were young and we were new parents, it seemed like we were always worried. We were worried about something. We worried about when someone was going to walk. We worried about when they were going to start talking. We worried about when they would read. We worried about whether they're going to be good athletes, what camps they would go to, what friends they would have, and later on we worried about, grades as they started to come in grade school. But we worried. It was a period of worry and uncertainty, and in that period I found myself sort of instinctively, reflexively somewhat, and almost constantly praying, almost without noticing it. And up to that point in my life, I would not say that I had been a prayerful person. We prayed for help all the time. We prayed for big things, we prayed for little things, sort of happiness, success, health, but always asking for God's help. And it was a super happy time, but it was also a stressful time for us. Things eventually changed a bit, and we entered sort of a second phase. Sort of what I would call a realization phase as parents. During this phase, the chaos seemed to calm down, or maybe it just became the new normal for us. And we settled into a groove. During this time, we also started to realize that after the many, many thousands of prayers for help on large and small things, we started to realize that that help that we asked for was arriving. And it was arriving consistently. These problems about which I prayed had been resolved. The help always arrived. Sometimes it arrived exactly how we asked. Other times, totally differently, with some irony or comedy involved. But it arrived nonetheless. Sometimes things worked out in ways we couldn't even imagine, but better than we could imagine. And it was in this period that a peace sort of settled in our lives. And it wasn't that we had become great parents or that we had a perfect family, far from it. But it was really the realization in that time that we were not alone in our journey. That God was looking after our kids and helping us as parents along the way. And that as hard as things could get, there was always God in the background. We realize that prayer is not just about the asking, but also about paying attention to the results. Today, we are sort of entering a new phase. Our kids are emerging into adulthood, which is different and uncertain in its own right. Now we worry about things like ACT scores, college essays, college admissions, internships, and careers. We worry about where the kids will end up when they get out of college. And importantly, Lydia and I always talk about what in the world we're going to do when we're alone in the house. But amid these worries, that peace that we found remains. And it's knowing God is looking after them and helping us along the way. So to sort of sum up, fatherhood has taught me so many things, but one of the more important things is that it's important to ask for God's help. But it's equally important, once in a while, to lift your head, to look around, and pay attention to the results. It has allowed me as a father to see the hand of God in my life and to feel the peace and tranquility that brings. Thank you, and happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Thank you, Dan. Please stand.